Story 1. This is tricky. Actively wanting to search through your phone, messages, etc. can be a red flag. However, I will say that my husband and I have 100% open access to each other's accounts and stuff. We don't look, but it's convenient and would come in handy if something awful happened to one of us. I think the intention is what makes the difference here. Story 2. I have nothing to hide, but my partner is not entitled to the texts my friends send me about their lives. Even if I'm willing to tell him everything about myself, I have a responsibility to respect my friend's privacy. I think if you need to look in each other's phones, there's a troubling lack of trust that needs to be addressed. Story 3. Absolutely not. My friends share things with me that they don't necessarily want my partner to know, and their trust and privacy are important to me. If my partner can't trust me, they shouldn't date me. Story 4. Suspicious people are mentally draining. They may have very good reasons from their past why they can't trust others, but that's an issue for them to work through, not to mitigate by ensuring absolute transparency from their partner. Life is way too short. Story 5. I don't have anything to hide, but demanding access to my messages or private conversations with friends would upset me. That's not only violating my privacy, but also the privacy of my friends, who talk to me about sensitive private matters they wouldn't want to be shared. My husband works in the same building as my best friend, who would sooner be like Thelma and Louise with me than have an affair with my husband, and he doesn't really talk to anyone online. My immediate assumption would be that he thinks I'm cheating with one of my friends I met or talked to online. I'm not, for the record, so it would be really upsetting and hurtful and would make me concerned about why he thinks that. I'd also feel like I'm being heavily monitored or no longer trusted, even if we talked it out. Story 6. People deserve their privacy. I trust my partner and she trusts me. I don't have an interest in going through her phone. If she went through mine, she wouldn't find anything weird. Story 7. She can already do this anytime she wants. She has the password and a fingerprint set for her. I can do the same with hers. We don't hide things from each other. Story 8. Absolutely not. I have a right to privacy, and it doesn't mean I'm hiding anything. For what it's worth, my partner of 19 years and I don't share any phones, computers, or passcodes with each other. We trust each other, but we also respect each other's privacy. Story 9. I don't have anything to hide, but it would also be nice to have privacy. Also, I wouldn't like that they don't trust me, and I'd be pretty suspicious of them projecting onto me. Story 10. Trust issues? Depends on the context. If it's a new relationship, then he's showing he has trust issues. Could be a red flag. Either you run or help him work on that. If it's an older relationship, why does he not trust you all of a sudden? If you did nothing, then maybe he did something. You might want to discuss it with him to understand his motives. And I would say it should work both ways. In my case, we both have the same scheme to unlock our phones and fingerprints on both phones. Works well like that for us. Story 11. What stage of the relationship are we at? I like sharing location with my partner, but that's because it is a matter of convenience. Like when trying to decide if it is a good time to call, or finding them in an obscure area we're supposed to meet up at. Messages and apps though, I'm sure she and the ladies have conversations they'd prefer stay private. Same for me and the boys. I definitely don't want her having unfettered access to my Reddit history or post history. That's just work for me. I'd stand by what I say, but having to justify it to anyone, that's work. Story 12. Your partner is projecting. I would be suspicious of those requests. My wife and I never hide anything from one another, but I never asked for access on purpose. When she wanted to give me her passwords to see something, cool, but I never entered her accounts without her knowing. Same with me. I have a complicated screen protection lock for my phone. She never bothered to learn it, even if I showed it to her. Story 13. I am so boring they would regret looking into it. But part of the deal would be that I would have full access to theirs as well. Will I find something interesting inside? Or will they be just as boring? Story 14. It was never a concern until an ex began accusing me of cheating. To summarize this long story, I let her look at my phone several times, and she found nothing but was still upset. Later, while we were on vacation, she got into my phone for hours while I slept. She admitted this to me on her way home. She still found nothing and was still upset with me. I left her a week later, but soon after, I was surprised to find all of my money missing. Credit card, bank debit card, every dollar and cent gone, and my accounts were overdrawn by thousands of dollars. During the investigation by myself and detectives, I learned that on the night she got into my phone while I slept, she had successfully opened up various banking and payment apps. She sent photographs of my accounts and the contents of my wallet to someone who was able to drain my money for refund scams. She also transferred $800 to herself from my own Venmo app. The police recovered texts from her to the other perpetrator, saying to take as much money as possible if we break up. Now my phone is on severe lockdown with a ridiculous passcode. It does not leave my sight. It's either in a pocket, in hand, or sitting in front of me locked and face down. Nobody touches it but me. Also, please never use the same or similar passwords for multiple apps, accounts, or similar services. And certainly never tell your significant other what those might be without a serious discussion about that level of sharing first. And they better not be a scumbag at heart. Additionally, the guy who actually stole my money went to prison. I did not pursue serious charges against my ex because her accomplice was completely reprimanded. He's done this before. I wanted it to be over. I had to go to court over the $800, which was ordered back to me. She didn't have it, but I agreed to accept a check from her parents, which was filled out in front of the judge and handed over to me then and there. The refund scheme was partially successful, but I managed to get every cent back from all parties and entities involved. A hotel in Switzerland that was part of this even offered me 3 free nights. My bank waived the overdraft fees and all was well. Story 15. It's really not that big of a deal. It's honestly a big deal if you don't trust them for that. Your partner, likely for years, knows your social security number, your bank accounts, lots of passwords. They are the closest to you, the one person with an expectation to never lie to you. You share a house, finances, food, a bed, pets, bars of soap. You introduce them to every family member, open up and tell them your deepest secrets. They have seen you vulnerable, and you're supposed to be around them when you're vulnerable and make your future plans based around this person. Yet there's something in the phone you're not supposed to see. Listen, I haven't gone through my wife's phone in years, maybe a couple of times in my life. You know why I don't feel the need? Because I have the feeling there's nothing she's hiding. She'd have no issue if I used her phone while she slept. She's not protecting her password, and I trust her. If all of a sudden I went to call someone on my wife's phone, and the password changed, and she said she didn't want me on it, all of a sudden I have trust issues, all of a sudden I want to go through it. It's not just important to have mutual trust, but mutual boundaries. There are couples out there who trust each other but don't want each other to touch the other's phone. That's great for them. In my opinion, they are both 9 times out of 10 both cheating or doing something shady to each other, in my perspective and opinion. Story 16. I don't have a partner, but if I did, I would ask for the same access to their phone. If they refused, I would start making an escape plan. I'm not going to face the end of this democracy with someone I can't trust. Story 17. Personally, I have nothing to hide and an open relationship, but if they approached me demanding it, it would be an immediate refusal to be a part of my life. Story 18. I wouldn't mind as long as, 1. There is reciprocity. He reads my messages but doesn't reply to anyone without my knowledge or consent. The same applies to photos and videos. He cannot edit, delete, or share them without my knowledge and consent. He doesn't tamper with my Microsoft Outlook or Teams, or anything related to my Office applications because that data is not supposed to leave the organization, and I will be in trouble if it does. He doesn't spend any of my money without my knowledge or consent, like transfers within banking applications, Venmo, or online shopping. Story 19. Okay. I have no problem with them knowing my personal identification number, but if they're checking applications every day looking for a reason for something, then I'll have an issue. If you're that insecure, we'll just break up and I'll move on. Story 20. I'd rather not. I don't need to hear about how unorganized my phone is all the time or what is that font? or explain anything that I've sent to others because she didn't think it was funny, which is why I didn't send it to her. If she gave me an ultimatum or something like that, I'd have an issue with her trying to control me more than her finding something on my phone. Story 21. On one hand, if you are doing anything that would cause problems if your partner knew, that's a you problem. On the other hand, if they distrust you enough that they feel the need to look regularly, that's a them problem. Story 22. The reality is, if this is your situation, you have either a very insecure partner or a cheater as a partner. The main problem is there is no trust in the relationship, and without this, you aren't going to last long. For example, my phone is never locked. She can access it whenever she wants. I never get any strange messages or act strangely around my phone. She never has a desire to look at my phone. She knows she can look at it, but there just aren't any alarms in our relationship that warrant this. The same goes for her. Her phone isn't always at her hip, and even now she's out with her girlfriends for a birthday party, and I'm not planning on verifying this or checking her phone when she returns. We both have our freedoms, but most importantly because we have trust in each other. I did once have a girlfriend that insisted I give her my phone to inspect in the past, and as you already guessed, I found out eventually she was cheating on me with numerous people. Did that situation make me trust women less? No, it made me lose all trust for her only, and I broke up with her and moved on. I wasn't about to bring that baggage to my new relationship with a new woman. Did it teach me that women who don't trust me might have something shady on their end going on? Yes. But my wife never acted this way when we dated and later married, and it's a non-issue now. Listen to your gut. You know this isn't healthy behavior, and while you might cave in to resolve this conflict, I assure you it won't go away. If you don't solve the problem at the root, it will only get worse. I had a coworker once tell me, "I'd love to join you guys for lunch, but my husband gives me a lunch allowance, and if I don't spend it, he will know I didn't eat at the place we agreed I'd get food from." I looked at her in disbelief. I didn't say a word, as it's none of my business, but I'm positive that's not healthy and won't last long. Story 23. When I was with my ex, she had full access to everything I had. She even found a nude picture I forgot to delete when I was cleaning up my phone long before meeting her. I was getting rid of any kind of adult content on my phone for my own mental well-being months prior to meeting her. I wasn't trying to hide it from her. She found it, and I explained that it was something I missed. She always had access to my phone, and I never felt the need to take it away. Fast forward to the end of our relationship, she stopped going through my phone, and it felt like she didn't want to go through hers either. Kind of like an "if I don't look through your phone, you can't look through mine" situation. She told me she had messages from the guy she was emotionally, and later physically, involved with at work, which she didn't want me to see. I no longer had access to her phone. She changed her pattern and was always aware of where her phone was. If I was changing music on her Spotify while she was driving or anywhere else, she seemed a little more attentive to where I was on her phone. If I ever end up in a relationship again, I have nothing to hide. So, if I feel like I can trust them, I would let them have full access to my phone. Story 24. My partner and I set up our facial recognition on each other's phones. It was a joint decision, and neither of us ever had doubts, but it could be useful in emergencies, so why not? I say go for it if you fully trust them. However, if they want to do this to look at chats and stuff, then I guess the trust is already over. Story 25. We have our iPhones on the same account because of the large amounts of music and movies she has. I know her PIN and she knows my PIN. You don't gotta. We've been married 21 years. Story 26. Other people trust me with their secrets. Some of those cannot be shared with even my partner. Not my secrets to reveal. It's an absolute deal breaker. Story 27. My wife can look at my mobile anytime she wants, and I can look at her mobile or tablet anytime I want. Neither of us has ever done it. I have no reason to do so. I trust my wife as she trusts me. Anyone who demands to look at their partner's phone is either very insecure or thinks their partner is up to something dodgy. Story 28. Depends. If they specifically ask for it, no. I have nothing to hide, so you can look or use my phone whenever. You don't gotta. But being specifically asked in advance to have access to everything feels like a sign of controlling behavior, And I've already been in that kind of relationship, so no thanks. If you aren't ready to trust someone, don't seek a relationship. Seek therapy instead. It might seriously help. I'm still suffering some after effects because of a past relationship with that kind of person, and forget that. Never again. Story 29. If my husband turned around and said he wants unlimited access to my phone, I would probably tell him no. Not because I have something to hide, but as an adult, I expect a certain amount of privacy to be respected by my partner. And I give the same in return. Story 30. Absolutely not. Just because I'm with someone doesn't mean I don't deserve to have any privacy. They do as well. If they need to use my phone for some reason and they ask, that's fine. But that doesn't mean I will allow them to look through my messages and apps, etc. If they feel the need to have full access to it, then they don't trust me and they can move on to someone they trust.